So this live stream video would be an unlisted live stream video. You'll be able to access it from your Trello card. It won't be searchable through YouTube. Okay. So you need to check your Trello card and then you will be able to access the session. Okay. And we will be posting the video session here in the card itself. So we'll go next. And in the meantime, with respect to your acknowledgements, let's say if you want to say okay or anything, the chat option is available. You can quickly post your thing on chat, as well as you can raise hand. You can once check the raise hand feature. There will be an option to raise the hand. If you want, you can quickly check it once. You can click on raise hand and then we'll continue. Right. So we can unmute you from here in that case. And now you'll be able to speak up.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Fine. So let's proceed further. We'll start with the introductions and we'll proceed with step by step the contents which we need to cover during our program, Python programming for beginners. So in Python programming for beginners, here is a checklist where we have the topics listed for our 24 sessions. At this session, we will be organizing from Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. The version which we are taking for Python in this course is the latest version 3.9.2. And I'll quickly walk you through the topics first. Once we start with this, we'll work on Python 3.9.2. We'll explore Python interpreters. We'll see how we can use Python with numbers, strings, and lists. Then we will proceed towards control flow statements, where we are going to control our logic using if and for statements. We'll have different kinds of functions like range functions. We'll see different statements like break and continue. Then we'll proceed with clauses on loops. There will be pass statements. You'll proceed further towards defining the functions, understanding the argument values, understanding keyword arguments. You'll have positional and keyword arguments. A lot of things we'll do in sequence. Okay. So your class structure would be organized in sequence and you'll have that relevant videos available for your information. Once we are done with the fundamentals of Python programming, then we will proceed towards data structures so that we can quickly represent different problems using data structure and we can try to get solutions to them. So we'll be exploring stacks, queues, lists, nested list comprehensions, different kinds of sequences like tuples, sets, dictionaries. We'll explore looping techniques, conditions, and a lot more. Finally, once we are done with using the data structures and exploring the input, output, maintaining them, we'll continue further with the standard library. Standard library contains a lot of functions, out of which we have got some very, very important functions, which we would be covering in the class. And then there will be a complete reference library, which we are going to let you explore it. We'll guide you through it step by step. And then with respect to the left out things, because the references are pretty long, you'll be able to explore more features of standard library. Okay. Now, let us just quickly proceed. So here, first we'll get started with the tools and certain references, which we consider as the standard when we learn Python programming. So I'll be posting all that information here in the activity section of mine. When you need to ask your questions, you can go to your own card and you can post your questions after the class. Okay. And during the class, in case if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. There is a raise hand feature in the tools. And you can also post your questions on chat. We can read the questions, and as soon as we are done with speaking, we can address your question and we can give you the solution. So this proper management will be done so as to ensure the quality of the video, because when you will be viewing the video in future for references or for revision, you will have the appropriate quality video available with you. Okay. So in today's session, we'll start with the base reference which we use in order to get started with Python programming is this website python.org. Python.org contains majority of the references which is required for you to get started with Python and implement your logic, put inputs, get it processed, and grab the appropriate outputs. Now, I'm taking you to python.org just to give you a quick understanding of what it is and how we can get started from here. So on this, you can quickly go to the documentation part. Within the documentation, we can get started with the standard documentation, and we can get started with a tutorial of Python here. There are certain topics which are listed here. We'll take it as a base reference and we'll start coding it also. So we are going to Python docs. The current released version, on the very left hand side, you can see that the development version, the people are developing 3.10 as of now, Python, but the currently most stable version is 3.9 and 3.8. And there were previous certain versions which has certain security fixes and end of their lifetime. So if in today's scenario, if you want to get started with learning something on Python, either you can work on 3.9 and 3.8 version. In our course curriculum, we will be taking the latest version 3.9.2. We do have its official documentation available over here on python.org. In case if you want to explore what's new in Python 3.9, so since you guys have not used 3.8 previously and you don't understand the features, so we're not diving into what's new in Python 3.9. As soon as you're done with Python fundamentals and you'll explore a lot of options within Python, then it would be a good read. Okay, so for now we are skipping what's new in Python 3.9. We'll quickly get started from the tutorial section, which is considered as the start here section. Now here in the start here section, there is the quick information available about Python. It says it's an easy to learn, powerful programming language. It has efficient high-level data structures. It has simple but effective approach to object-oriented programming. So some of these things which we will be experiencing when we will be working towards Python. As you can also see in the introduction, it says Python is an elegant syntax and dynamic typed language. Okay, and it has an interpreted nature wherein you can put in a value, it can automatically adapt the type of the particular value. So we'll be discussing about it as soon as we progress further. Some of the major information which you need to know is Python interpreter is built over C++ programming language. Okay, so the base language for Python is C++, and using the dynamic binaries of C++, Python has been built. So Python, you can consider it as a top layer language. If I quickly type in here, let me just quickly give you a diagram here so that will be a little understood. So one layer, we do have a C++ programming language. Okay, C programming. In fact, we generally call it as CPP. And above C++ programming language, your Python has been built. Okay, so all the libraries of C++ are available, and using these binaries, the Python has been built above it. Okay, so the base language always is C++, and the dynamic libraries of C++ can be accessed by Python, and that's why Python is considered a little fast, because it does not need to be compiled. Okay, so we'll work out on all of these things as soon as we progress further. But today we like to keep it a little basics, and then in the next session onwards, we'll quickly understand the compilation processes, the how C have been compiled earlier, but now how Python is interpreted and how it accesses the libraries and how it executes the output. Okay. So similarly, our today's objective is to understand Python in this way, that it is an easy to learn, powerful programming language. It has efficient high-level data structures, and it has effective approach towards object-oriented programming. This is what we will be doing it. Now, in order to do that, the official documentation says this is the overall structure of Python programming language, as considering it as a syllabus, that what you really need to learn. And out of these 10 sections, all these topics have been divided into 10 sections, and within 10 sections, there are different subsections. We have identified the most important features out of these 16 sections, in fact, and we have compiled it in the program, which would be highly required for you to develop good applications. Okay. So we'll be covering all these points. Now, somewhere here, we need to get started with what is Python, how you can use a Python interpreter, how you can invoke the interpreter, then how we can use Python as numbers, strings, lists, and a lot of other stuff. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to get started with using the Python interpreter. That is something which we want to do in. But before diving into using Python interpreter, I would like to show you one more thing, that where is the source code for Python available? Okay. So here on github.com/python/cpython. Okay. This is the URL. I'll just quickly check once. Google CPython GitHub. Okay, so here is the URL, github.com/python/cpython. That's the URL where the complete source code of Python programming written in C programming language is available. I'm sharing this link with you. Python is an open source programming language. Okay. Python is an open source programming language. Its source code is available here. Okay. So we'll quickly see certain references. And as soon as we progress further in the course, we are going to understand a lot about whatever functions we will be using in Python. We will be able to see its code also, that how it is implemented in C programming language. In case if you want to modify programming language further, if you get to that level, then you can access open source, you can modify the code, you can compile it and use it for your own purposes in future as well. Okay. Now, so with CPython, we can quickly see here, we do have the grammar of Python programming language. We do have certain libraries, we have modules, we have objects. Okay. So we'll be using all of these and we'll see how they're coding it and how we can access it. Okay. So website you've already got. The source code is available at CPython. The documentation is available at docs.python.org. And there is a developer's guide also, which is very important when it comes to Python programming language. Okay. So we do have a developer's guide also, using which we can quickly get started with Python. We can quickly understand how we can write our different kinds of codes and what are the quick links for issue tracking and contributing to Python programming language. Okay. So in case if you want to contribute to Python programming language with your own functions or something, if you know C and if you want to create certain modules, then you can use this Python developer's guide also. For now, the two important resources which we will be using is the website and the source code. Okay. And the documentation. So let me just quickly keep these URLs here for you to be handy for future references. We've got the website, we've got the source code, as well as we have got the third thing, which is the documentation. Okay, and here is the Python developer's guide. If you guys have opened Trello, you'll be able to see all these messages right away. As soon as I post it here, you'll be able to access it. Okay. Now we are proceeding towards setting up Python programming language. So since you guys are beginner, first, I would like to give you a quick introduction to how Python can be used and how easily it is accessible. So in order to get started with programming in Python, one of the best tools which we can use is Jupyter Notebooks. Okay. And this Jupyter Notebook, there is an online editor available. Okay, and that is collab.research.google.com. Collab.research.google.com. This is a tool available by Google Collaboratory, and we will be able to execute our Python programs right away from here. Now, what next we need to do? We'll quickly proceed to this URL. Okay, we'll go here, collab. You all have to open it along with me. You can go to collab.research.google.com. आप लोग सभी लोग open कर लीजिए collab.research.google.com, and I'm sending it on chat with you. collab.research.google.com. So ये URL आप लोगों को open करना है. Open कर लीजिए आप लोग इस URL को. Once you guys are done opening, you can quickly give me a message like, yes, we are done, and so. Great. Now what we have to do, we have to get started with a new notebook. Okay, so once you have opened it, we're going to get started with a new notebook. You click on new notebook. So the notebook is going to start from here. So here at the very top, if you can see here, this area, untitled 0.ipynb, that is your script file name. The script is Python script, okay? And we can call it as, let's say, interpreter Python 3.9.2, sorry, Python 3.9.2 interpreter .ipynb, okay? So यहाँ पे ये हमारे पास नाम आ गया interpreter.ipynb. ये हमने रीसेट कर लिया नाम अपना, so that हम एक इफेक्टिव स्क्रिप्ट लिख सकें और इसे बाद में आपके साथ शेयर कर सकें. ओके, IPYNB का फुल फॉर्म होता है इंटरैक्टिव पाइथन नोटबुक. फुल फॉर्म ऑफ start.ipynb file is interactive Python notebook. Okay, interactive Python notebook. So you need to be aware about it. अब हम interactive Python notebook पे we can quickly see the menu on the top left hand side. Let me just ठीक है. So we do have a menu here. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे ऑप्शन है जो आगे अभी हम धीरे धीरे यूज करेंगे. ये है हमारी कोड सेल्स मेंटेन करने के लिए. ठीक है, दिस एरिया is generally known as the code cell. This is the code executor. This is the line number. Finally, before we execute it, we need to get it connected to the cloud, because it will process all the script which we have written in the cloud, and whatever result we are going to get, it's going to display it here. Okay. So along with that, we have certain options to manage, like you can delete the cell, you can share the shell, you can change the settings of the shell, and all that information is available over there. Okay, controls are available which we can use and modify according to our requirement. Now what we have to do, this is going to be the Python interpreter. So the first thing which when you will get started with Python interpreters is you need to get it connected. So you need to connect the Google Collaboratory to the AWS cloud environment, or to the Google cloud environment. So what we are going to do, we are going to click on connect. So you all please continue to connect, and once you guys are connected, just give me a yes. Okay, are you guys are done? Just give me a yes. Okay, great. ठीक है, अब देखो क्या करना है. अब हम स्टार्ट करते हैं अपना इंटरप्रेटर के बारे में सबसे पहले समझते हैं. So now it says under the Python tutorial using the Python interpreter. So here it says the Python interpreter is usually installed as how many of you are you both comfortable with Linux operating system commands? Just asking. Just give me a yes if you are comfortable with Linux commands. Okay, great. So once you install a Python interpreter on any of the machine, so it is usually installed at a binary directory with the Python version number. Okay, and you can put it under the bin directory, and you can directly call Python 3.9 or the binary file name, and automatically it can start executing. Here is the basics of Python. There are two kinds of modes. One, there is an argument passing mode available with which we can execute a script and pass certain arguments, as well as there is an interactive mode. Currently, we guys are going to work out on Python under the interactive mode, where we are going to write our functions, execute Python, and we are going to interact with the source code itself. Okay. Then there are standard encoding parameters. Okay, and we can define the standard encoding parameters when we write the code just to make the other person understand. Okay, but that is not of much importance. The only importance you need to understand is the Jupyter notebook which we are currently using is an interactive mode. And in case if we have been using terminal and we are executing a Python script with some other program and we are passing some arguments with it, so then it becomes the argument passing mechanism. Okay, I hope you guys are clear till here. So today we will be working on the interactive mode using Python interpreter. Okay, so we can quickly execute and check it on Colab also. Let us just understand which is the current Python version which is running over here. Okay, so somehow on a Linux machine here, behind this user interface which is visible to you, there is a cloud machine running. Okay, so there is a cloud machine running. This is the active session with respect to that particular cloud machine. What you can do is you can quickly drag your mouse here and you can see that the web page which is displayed to you is connected to Python 3 Google Compute Engine backend. Okay, and the RAM utilizes 0.77 GB out of 12 GB, and the disk space available is 38 GB out of 107 GB. रेस्ट के अंदर ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम होगा जो भी उस जो भी हमारे इंस्टेंस का होगा गूगल क्लाउड इंस्टेंस से जो कनेक्टेड है. ठीक है, तो अब आपको ये समझ में आ गया कि ये एक तरीके से एक वेब बेस्ड कंप्यूटर है, और ये जो वेब बेस्ड कंप्यूटर है ये है कहाँ पे, गूगल कंप्यूट के ऑफिस में है. एंड फ्रॉम आवर ब्राउजर यूजिंग द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इंटरनेट वी आर कनेक्टेड टू दैट सर्वर्स ब्राउजर. ओके, I hope you guys agree on this. Just give me a yes if you guys are clear till here. Great. Now what next we are going to do? Here we are going to execute a command. So if you want to execute a Linux command on Google Collaboratory, you can use an exclamation mark. Okay, I've used an exclamation mark and I have just asked which Python it is. Okay, and I have executed the code. Okay, so now you can see that we can see Python is stored at this location: user, local, bin, and Python. Okay, so side by side we are going to pass certain comments also. Python storage location. Okay, so you can directly execute on Linux machine like which Python, and you can quickly get that. Okay, Similarly, if you're on Mac or if you're on Windows, you can actually search for it using the similar way. Now, once you have got which Python, okay, you can actually check the version of Python as well, which is being currently used. Okay. So what we can do is we can execute Python, okay, and let's say I think it's V or hyphen version. We'll quickly check that. ठीक है, ये हम check कर सकते हैं quickly depending on ये तो Python verbose करके हमने पूरा extract कर लिया. Just एक minute. So Python hyphen version. So now it is saying the current Python version which is being used here is somehow 3.7.10. Okay. तो अब यहाँ पे हमें क्या कर सकते हैं, हम रन टाइम पर जाके हम अपने पाइथन के सेशंस को अपडेट कर सकते हैं कि which would we like to use. Okay, so now we can quickly go and edit the version. So यहाँ पे आप एक बार देख सकते हैं, this is check the current Python version. Okay, it's always a good idea because somehow it happens that the owner may also not understand what is the Python version running depending on their system. Okay. Now, see, we got the Python version. Now what we can do is we can actually go further and change the version of Python. So we can go to notebook settings. Okay. Under notebook settings, we are getting the hardware accelerators. Let us just say which runtime we do have. Restart factory, change, manage sessions, view runtime logs. We have the command palette, settings, we have the keyboard shortcuts, and this. Okay. So here we do have a lot of different stuff. Change runtime we have already seen. Okay. So now what we can do is either the settings would be available over here. Notebook settings. I'm sorry. Let me just quickly check back with respect to this. Revision history. Notebook settings. Okay, clear view. Okay, so there are two ways. What we can do is either we can update the Python version, whatever editor version or the Colab version we are using. Okay, so we can quickly update them with respect to existing Colab structure, as well as once you would like to have it, you can have the right one also. Okay. So we'll come to that specific part, but let's say we'll quickly explore it first, the interpreter part, and then we'll switch to 3.9.2 from 3.7.10. Okay. Now, so once you have got to understand that whenever you have to get started with Python, you have to explore what Python interpreter is. So we got two stuff. Where is Python interpreter installed and what is the current version of the Python interpreter? These two information we have already extracted. Okay. Now we'll proceed to the next one. Okay. The next topic says an informal introduction to Python. So what all we are covering in informal introduction, it is basically working on all the Python versions. Okay. So first we'll see, irrespective of 3.7.9 and 3.9.2, we can execute the same syntaxes on both of these versions. So in this session, we are going to explore it accordingly. Now what is happening, you have to work on an informal introduction to Python. So अब यहाँ पे आपको करना क्या होगा, informal introduction करने से पहले एक और चीज देख लेते हैं कि या चलो पहले यही देख लेते हैं, ठीक है. So what we'll do, we'll quickly go to an informal introduction to Python. And within this, you can see that input and output are distinguished by the presence or absence of prompts. Okay. And you must type everything about after the prompt. When the prompt appears, lines that do not begin with a prompt are output from the interpreter. ये तो normal interpreter की कहानी बता रहा है, ठीक है? So हमें क्या करना है? हमें अपने इंटरप्रेटर को रन करना है. रन करने के बाद में we are going to use our Python interpreter as a calculator. That is the first thing which we can do. Okay, and you can use any number of complex mathematical operations which it can run, and we can get the appropriate result. Here are 4 types of parameters which is available, operators and parentheses. So one is the plus, second one is a minus, into, minus, brackets, divide by, and divide by a specific number. Okay. So these are various ways of representation of numbers. Okay. उसके बाद में हम आते हैं नीचे, हमारे पास क्लासिक डिवीजन रिजल्ट्स दिख रहे हैं. वी हैव द कैलकुलेशन ऑफ पावर्स, वी हैव कैलकुलेशन ऑफ मल्टीपल्स, देन देयर इज अ स्टैंडर्ड इनपुट एरर. उसके बाद में बहुत सारे मैथमेटिकल फंक्शंस हम यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, तो लेट अस जस्ट क्विकली एक्सप्लोर व्हाट नंबर्स कैन डू फॉर अस. ओके, सो लेट अस जस्ट कीप इट साइड बाय साइड, एक तरफ रख देते हैं दोनों को. ठीक है, so that will be easy for both of you as well as for me also, just to write the appropriate code. Okay, here. So on the right hand side, I'm sorry, an informal introduction. Yeah, this is it. So we are going to start with using Python as a calculator, and we are going to interact with the interpreter. Our interpreter is going to act as a simple calculator, and we will be able to express various mathematical operations using plus, minus, into, divide, and it will work as it is like the other languages like C, C++, Java, and so. Okay, so parentheses can be used for grouping, like the one you have seen where we do have the multiple symbols. We can perform the brackets operation, because brackets in comparison with BODMAS can actually have a prior order with which the multiplication into divide will be processed. Okay. Now, so अब हमारे पास 2 चीजें क्लियर हो गई. अब हम चलते हैं थर्ड वाली चीज के ऊपर, जहाँ पे हमें एज नंबर्स इसे इंटरप्रेट करना है. ठीक है, तो जो राइट हैंड साइड में आपके पास नंबर्स दिख रहे हैं, उसी फॉर्मेट पे हम यहाँ पे भी साथ में एग्जीक्यूशन करते जाएंगे. ठीक है, so what we'll do, this is a live interpreter. I have just quickly said 2 plus 2. अब 2 plus 2, both of these are numbers. Human तो quickly calculate कर लेगा कि 4 है, but calculator को पता होना चाहिए कि what is the meaning of this 12 and what is the meaning of plus, what is the meaning of 2. Only then it will be able to set the appropriate response. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll quickly run it. Once we run, you can see that we are going to get an answer. The answer we have got is 4, and here is also 4. Okay, so that's how that simple Python is. Python is a very easy programming language. You just need to import your library once, and then you don't even need to load the libraries again and again. Okay, is it understood? Please give me a confirmation. Just give me a yes. Okay, great. Okay, so guys, I believe just give me a yes if you guys are done with interpretation of this simple basic example. Now here, as you all can quickly observe here, that we do have various mathematical operations which we can perform here. We have the subtraction, we have the multiplication, we have the brackets BODMAS thing, we do have the floor option available, we have the division option available. So that is why we call Python as a calculator. Okay, so we are going to the next cell. चौथा cell हमने mark किया. चौथा cell जब हम mark करते हैं, let's say we are going to print the output of two specific numbers or so. Okay, so अब जैसे मान लीजिए we can have any of these examples. Let's say I'm going to say 20 minus 10 into 2. Okay, so what should be the output? What you guys are going to get? You can quickly execute it, check it, and post your answer on the chat through that. So once you do that, you're going to get the 0 done. Okay. Now, in case if you are using your specifics like brackets, okay, let's say I'll call it as a comment, using brackets in the mathematical statement, in the numbers statement. So what we can do, we'll say 20 minus 10. This is going to give you 10, and then you're going to multiply that with 2. Okay. So once you do that, now using brackets, we have got an altogether different story. Okay. So you can see that the BODMAS is working appropriately with Python programming. Similarly, we do have division always returns a floating point number. Okay. So what we can do is we can perform the division as well. Okay, let's say divide 5 by 3. Okay, so we are going to write a simple aggregation, divide 5 by 3. I used 5 divide by 3 and got that printed, and we got an answer somewhat like 1.66667. Okay, so that's how the interpreter works as a specific calculator, because you have the symbols and operators available. You have to put in the values and you can get the numbers out. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Just give me a yes. Great. And one thing I would like you to ask, are you both able to open Google Colab? Are you able to execute your codes? I would like to have a quick look on your machines also. So I'm just sharing, giving you a share request. You can share step by step. First, Jaideep can share and show me what he is executing, and then Palak can show me what she is executing. Okay, so I'm stopping my share, and I want you guys to quickly check it. Okay, now let's see. So first, Jaideep, you can quickly show us. I'm just stopping my share and I'm allowing you share screen privileges. You can quickly share your screen. There is a green button option available at the bottom. Cool, great. So here we have Python 3.9.2 interpreter, and we are getting all the versions and all the stuff which we are doing. Very nice. And thank you, Jaideep. You can stop it. And we can see for Palak also. Palak, can you please share your screen for a moment? Okay, so Palak, you need to execute the scripts which we are executing step by step. Whatever we are doing, that you need to run it along with us. Okay, so you have got which Python, and when you are using version, it has to be a double hyphen. Okay, double hyphen version. Yes, and it is 3.7.10 standard as of now. Okay, so we'll be working towards that. Okay, just give us a moment. Okay, now just let me share the screen. So by the time, what I'm doing is I'm sharing my script link here. File. Share. Okay, so Palak, what I'm doing is I'm just sharing my script link on Trello. ठीक है, मैं आपके Trello पे forward कर रहा हूँ, and आपके Trello मतलब अपने mentor notes के Trello पे script code for today. You can quickly open it and then you can execute it step by step. ठीक है, आप इस Google Collaboratory को एक बार ओपन कर लीजिए, and Google Collaboratory ओपन करने के बाद में जो भी हमने अभी ये executions किए हैं, Python version, some basic mathematical operations using Python numbers calculator. Okay, आप इसे एक बार फटाफट process कर लीजिए and keep your codes handy. Once you guys are done with the session, आपको आपके script code update करने हैं अपने कार्ड के अंदर. ठीक है, जैसे ही आपका कार्ड मतलब जैसे ही आपका सेशन कंप्लीट हो जाता है, जो भी आपने एग्जीक्यूशन किया है स्टेप बाय स्टेप, वो आपको अपने स्पेसिफिक कार्ड में अपडेट करना है, अपना स्क्रिप्ट कोड फॉर द डे. ओके, एंड द वेरिफिकेशन टीम विल वेरीफाई इट. वो वेरीफाई करेंगे आपके सोर्स कोड्स को. ठीक है, कहीं पे कोई प्रॉब्लम्स आती है आपको, तो फिर आपको उसको अपनी क्वेरी में डालना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, सो काइंडली डू दैट. ठीक है, सो हाउ टू डू दैट, आपको सबसे पहले शेयर पे जाना होता है. शेयर पे जाने के बाद में यू कैन चेंज एनीवन ऑन द इंटरनेट विद द लिंक एंड व्यू. आप उसे चेंज कर दीजिए, कॉपी कर लीजिए आप अपने स्क्रिप्ट कोड लिंक को. ठीक है, और वो कॉपी करने के बाद में आप अपने कार्ड पे जाके, लेट्स से पलक का कार्ड है, यू कैन क्विकली गो टू पलक्स कार्ड, लेट्स से, एंड जयदीप कार्ड, and you can paste your script code there. Okay, now I'll just make it enable the waiting room. अगर in case अगर कभी किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम होगी, डिस्कनेक्ट होंगे, तो आप दोबारा आके कनेक्ट हो जाएंगे. ठीक है, now just unmuting both of you in case if you have any queries or questions. I have allowed the unmute facility for a moment. If you have any questions or queries, you can please ask.
Are we changing the Python version, or we are just keeping it to 3.7.10?
We can change it to 3.9 as well. For now, there is not a problem at all, but we'll see. There is a library Cora with which we can quickly update it to any of our required version. But we'll see. Majority of the operations which we will be doing in can be done with both 3.7, 8, and 9. Along with, there would be only a few functions which are new, which have been introduced new, because that 3.9 has been introduced today itself. Today only, 30th March, there was a release date. Okay, so we'll see. We'll update it, not a problem. We'll go to the latest version only.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, because I just got disconnected, so that's why I was asking.
No problem, no problem. Have you executed all of these codes for now?
Yeah, I am. I'm executing it.
Yeah, kindly execute it, and once you're done, just let us know. Yes, please, Jaideep.
Are we gonna cover topics like DP and graphs too? Because like they are my weak section. If we can't cover them.
Sorry, I couldn't hear your question. Can you please ask again?
Am I audible now?
You are audible clearly. Yes.
Yes, sir. I want to know that are we gonna cover graphs and dynamic programming too?
Graphs and dynamic programming, that can be covered. See, what really happens is with respect to lead code and all, there are a lot of problems. There are a lot of different kind of problems. So अब जितना number of sessions अभी हमारे 2 months वाले fundamental beginner level program के अंदर हैं, उसमें जो भी उसका curriculum है वो हमने add कर दिया है. but we do have that option कि हमारे पास कुछ और modules होते हैं lead code के, so we can work out on it. I'll think of it and I'll let you know.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Sure, sir.
G. Okay. So I believe the guys are done till here. So for now, we do have a break for 5 minutes, 7 minutes. We'll resume again at 5. Okay. If you would like to have some water and so, you all can have it. We'll resume at 5 again. And by the time complete the script codes, I have shared the script code in the mentors note and video section.
Okay.
Right.